following is a paid program. The opinions expressed are not necessarily those of WNBU and Interbanks Media. Welcome to All Things Money with David Blain, a thoughtful and revealing discussion of actionable ideas and effective strategies to help you through the complex world of investing, taxes, and real estate. Now, with All Things Money, here's David Blain.
Hello and welcome to All Things Money. I'm your host, David Blain. Thank you for joining us today on 94.1 FM WNBU, Cable TV 10 in New Bern, North Carolina, as well as we welcome our viewers and listeners watching or streaming the audio on the web from our website, www.dlblain.com. We welcome all of you. However you catch the show, we've got a good show planned for you today. Lots of good topics to touch on. We're going to talk a little bit about our friend John Paulson, the hedge fund manager. We're going to finish up on the middle class. We started this last week talking about who's the middle class. We may talk a little bit about what to look for in advisors, but we got a lot of good topics. If you've got something you'd like us to cover, we'd love to hear from you. The phone number to the show is 252-633-0107. Our email is allthingsmoney@dlblain.com. And you can also go to the website, dlblain.com, and there's a contact us button. Of course, the phone number, address, everything's there as well. So we'd love to hear from you. What's on your mind, topics, comments, questions. There's a lot of stuff going on economically today, financially, investments-wise, just a lot of things, a lot of changes. Tax laws are changing. Healthcare is changing. So we want to talk about what's important to you out there, and so let us know. Okay, back to, we're going to finish up this topic. There was a lot of banter in both politics, the tax code, it relates to investing, about who is the middle class. And that word is sort of bantered around a lot. We were talking about it mostly in relation to the tax code changes, but this gentleman, Dante Chinny, is did a lot of research on this, crunched the numbers for us, got the data. This appeared in the Wall Street Journal on February the 15th. But they were talking about who is middle class in America. And just to recap, the median household income in America is $51,000, okay? $51,000, the median. Now remember, the median is, if you line up all 50 states, then the 25th and a half state would be, so the average of 25 and 26 is the median. Now the mean is you add up all 50 states and you divide by 50, and so that will give you a different number. Now typically when you have numbers that are very high and very low, that the median is a better descriptor than the average. An average, for example, if you look at the average height of people in America, the fact that you've got a couple basketball players that are 7 feet tall, and you've got a couple of height-challenged people, you know, that are, I guess I can't say, that have dwarfism or whatever, that are 3 or 4 feet. Well, when you're looking at 300 million people, it averages out, and those data points don't really affect the average height, which is probably, you know, 5'7", 5'8", something like that. Okay, well, when you're looking at a data set like 50 states, or something where you have a very high number at the top, even the income of Americans, you know, if you look at the top, you know, Warren Buffett or, you know, someone like that that makes millions, possibly billions of dollars a year, and then you have people making, you know, virtually nothing. Once again, the large numbers can skew it. So anyway, when looking at median income figures, it's much better than the mean. All right, when we look at the top state, Maryland is tops at $67,000. Mississippi, the median income is $39,000. That's a difference of more than $28,000. We started talking about as you get into the county level. In Mississippi, we have one county with the median income is $22,000. One county over, the median income is $59,000. We look at Fairfax County, Virginia, where I grew up, and you see that the when you look at the middle, or if we define, say, the middle class is the middle 60%, okay, take away the top 20%, take away the bottom 20%, you're left with the middle 60%. In a place like Fairfax County, the range goes from the bottom of the middle class would be $52,000, the top would be $194,000. That's a range of $142,000 of what people would say they're in the middle income. And so the great dilemma is, how do you create, economic policy? How do you create tax policy when all the rhetoric revolves around this middle class and the fact that you have different states and even within different counties that different income means different things to different people. If you make, $195,000, you're going to be in the top, you're going to be right below the top 20% in Fairfax County, Virginia. If you make $195,000 here where we're from in Craven County, you're going to be in the top, fraction of 1%. And so to try to create a tax policy or something that encompasses every single American that is fair is just, it's almost impossible. And so that's kind of the point of this, is that, when you target a tax policy towards the middle class, maybe if you had a narrow middle class, a lower range, maybe down in Mississippi, you're targeting something. But if you're in, Fairfax County, Virginia, it's a very big range. And so we have to be careful when we develop these policies, mostly related to tax. I say this all the time, that there's different tax codes written for people that don't make anything. There are things like the earned income credit, where they actually get money back even though they don't owe anything. And then people at the very top, there's a separate tax code. You have the phase out of itemized deductions. You have the personal exemption phase out. You have limits on contributions to retirement plans. There's all sorts of different limits that start to phase out. Of course, the tax rates also go up, but there are other things that phase out. And then you have people in the middle that the tax code applies to. But one person in one county that would consider themselves middle class, over the next county, that same tax law is going to have vastly different effects on those two people based on the total amount of income that they make. So anyway, it's a very fascinating topic that what I try to do on the show is get people to think. And when you hear something finance related, tax related, economic related, I want you to think about what the data is behind that number, and is there a bias from the person describing it. And that's one of my pet peeves, is when people say, hard working middle class families in America, that politicians always say, and that comment is just completely meaningless if you dig down into the data. Well, believe it or not, that brings us to our first break. When we come back, we'll start talking a little bit about John Paulson and his gold fund.